Hello and welcome to my how to paint tutorial from Spectre Operations Delta Commander Alpha. So of course I'm going to try to paint him like the cover art Spectre has on their website. I just got my Commander in and all my other Delta Force minis, and I do want to point out that these are some of the best quality minis I've ever seen. They're digitally designed, 3D printed, and cast. So we're going to start off with some matte black primer. Then we're going to move on to zenithal highlight with some Vallejo white and airbrush thinner. Here's a few greens that I'm going to use on this helmet. A couple of blues for the shirt. These are my choices for the gear. A couple of grays for the pants. And then I also have a few skin tones. One of them is a speed paint. We're going to try that out as well. I do have two speed paints, Gravelord Gray and Cursed Skin. So once you get your mini all primed up, usually do it pretty lightly. Let's go ahead and mix up 1 part white and 1 part airbrush thinner. And I don't ever measure, I just kind of gauge it, and it usually always turns out pretty well. I'll go ahead and just dispense straight into my airbrush. This is my little electric airbrush that comes in handy just for this and other quick small uses. Go and mix it up inside of the little dish, and I would start off by backfiring the air. It just kind of helps mix the paint and the thinner. And then we will go ahead and get spraying. I start off by shooting my finger a little bit just so I can tell the consistency. And then about 4 to 5 inches away, I start applying a thin coat. So it takes me a minute, but this helps. You do it to taste. It should come out looking something like this. You can do it darker and keep it more grayer, or apply more white if you'd like. But as you can tell, it gives a really nice undertone to create kind of the shadows. So we'll start out with base coating with blue and gray. I just selected a gray, but this is too light, so we're going to go to a darker base color. There we go. We're going to just cover his whole entire pants. I'm not being too detailed or careful here because we are going to put other colors and we can do correction as we go. So go ahead and slather on the base coats as fast as possible. I do want to point out that I thin it down with a little bit of water just so it flows on the mini a lot better. Sometimes you will have to do 2 coats, and that's okay. I'd prefer to take more time because it does in the end turn out looking a lot better. Now let's go ahead and do some of our turquoise. I love this color. This is one of my favorite colors. I painted my Eldar army in this color. So we're going to get the shirt in the front, his neck collar in the back as well, and also underneath his tactical gear. So if you can see, this is kind of what we look like now. A couple of simple colors. I do try to be somewhat careful, but not too careful. So let's get his gear, or actually let's do the skin first. I start with 10 flesh, just hitting the arms and his face, trying to be careful in between the other parts, such as the gun. And so, with some detail and some caution, he should look like this. Let's go ahead and add our I don't even know what color to call this, but it's the closest one I think that matches to the Spectre color. I will say that later on we will be doing a Airbrush shade, or using a shade so it'll darken things down. So right now we're doing some green. I'm going to go ahead and just cover the whole entire helmet. And as you guys can tell, it's a little difficult painting while trying to make sure my camera's focused on the Mini, but we should be looking kind of like this. I did paint a few details on his gun as well. So I don't have Airbrush Earthshade, I have Nuln Oil, and Airbrush is more brown, Nuln Oil is more black. I would prefer Airbrush, but we're going to go with this. This does dull down the colors and give us darker shade of the base color in the recesses. It does bring a nice effect. So once you cover the whole Mini, being generous, and after we get them completely coated, we're just going to give it a few minutes. You can use a blow dryer and kind of dry it out faster, but definitely be generous. You can control the pools. You just need to kind of move them around with your brush. So this, as you can see, is a lot darker than we started. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those base colors and I'm going to go back over some of the raised parts, the more exposed, not the recessed parts, and bring some of those colors back up, as you can see I'm doing here on his shoulder. Usually I do it at the highest point of the figure of whatever the color is that I'm applying. So I'm staying away from the recesses and just layering on some of that brightness back into it. And I'll go ahead and do this with the gray and the green and the orange, khaki, yellow color. And just doing it not on all of it, but just selectively. It's kind of like highlighting, but you're covering more of the area. So after applying some highlights and a little bit of camo to the helmet, their guys should look something like this. I'm sorry that I didn't get everything on film. As I film these little tutorials, I will definitely be a lot better about getting the details. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me and taking the time to watch this video. If you guys want to see more of these tutorials, just subscribe, like, and comment. Thanks, guys. Have a good day, and we'll see you in the next video.